If you're hearing this, it means I survived long enough to tell it. I was chasing a story, that's how it all started. You ever get so focused on a lead that you forget to ask yourself if it's worth it? I'm a freelance journalist, not the kind who breaks political scandals or writes thought pieces for The Guardian. I dig into the weird, the unexplained, the kind of stuff that makes people roll their eyes or lean in a little too close. So when I started getting emails about Bridgewater Triangle, that stretch of Massachusetts where everything from Bigfoot to phantom fires and flying orbs had supposedly been spotted, I chalked it up to internet bait until I got one email that wasn't like the rest. There was no subject line, no name, just one sentence. You want proof? Go to Freetown Forest, bring a camera, but don't go alone. Attached was a single blurry photo, a clearing, dozens of figures standing in white robes, and in the centre, something like a totem, made of bone. I flew out 2 days later. I landed in Boston, rented a car, and drove down to Fall River. I checked into a cheap motel next to an abandoned petrol station, the kind of place where the curtains are yellowed with nicotine and the ice machine doesn't work. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I just packed my gear, camera, batteries, 2 power banks, a thermos of black coffee, and a notebook I always carry when I'm trying to make sense of madness. I hit the trailhead just after 9 PM. The moon was full. The woods were still. Not quiet still. No owls, no wind, no insects. Just the sound of my boots on packed dirt and my breath fogging in the cold night air. I didn't have to walk long before I found the first one. A clearing off the main path, hidden behind a tangle of thorn bushes. Something had been trampled into the earth, symbols I didn't recognise, spirals, hooks, jagged edges, burned into the grass like the ground itself had been scorched, and in the centre, a crude altar, stones stacked in a circle, animal bones arranged in a sigil, something that might have been a deer skull cracked in half, blood, old, dried but unmistakable, crusted along the edges. I took photos, snapped video, and I logged the GPS coordinates. The air was thicker here, like it didn't want to move, like it was waiting. And then I heard something. Not a twig snap, not an animal, a voice. Come deeper. Not in my ears, in my head, like a whisper inside the skull. The words crawled through my thoughts like cold fingers. I should have turned back, but I didn't. I kept filming. I moved slower. Every step felt heavier than the last, like the woods themselves were thickening, turning to syrup. Then I saw it, at the edge of my camera's frame, just for a moment, a figure. Tall, pale, no face I could make out, no clothes I could describe, just shape. But here's the thing, I didn't see it with my own eyes, only through the viewfinder. I blinked, I looked again, gone. But when I played the footage back, frame by frame, there it was, watching me. I should have left, driven straight to Logan Airport and never looked back. But curiosity has teeth, and it bit hard. I followed the direction the figure had been facing. The trail became narrow, trees pressed close together, branches tugged at my coat like pleading hands. And then I saw the carvings, in the bark, every tree, every few feet, the same spiral symbol, over and over and over again, carved deep, still bleeding sap. Each spiral led me further in. I counted 12, then 40, then I lost track. Time started stretching. My watch stopped ticking, my phone lost signal. Even my footsteps stopped echoing the same way, like sound itself was being absorbed. And that's when I saw the light. It wasn't moonlight, it was firelight, A massive clearing ringed with torches and silent figures, dozens of them, maybe more, all wearing white robes. No faces visible, just masks, featureless, clay-like, sealed over the eyes and mouth. Some looked hand-carved, others looked like they'd grown from the face beneath. In the centre of the circle, a totem, 10 feet high, made of bones, antlers, rusted tools, chains, and something was hanging from it. Oh my god, a person! Or limbs twisted backwards, skin painted with that same spiral symbol, over and over and over again, carved into flesh like ritual tattoos. Blood pooled around the base, so fresh it steamed in the night air. I couldn't move, I couldn't breathe. They were all staring at me, like they'd known I was coming, like I'd been invited. One of them stepped forward. Their mask was different. Red, not white, and it had holes where the mouth and eyes should have been. Hollow, endless. They raised one hand, and every other figure collapsed, like puppets with cut strings. No screams, no resistance, just silent, perfect surrender. Then the masked figure pointed at me and whispered, "You are the 44th. Then everything broke. The ground shook, the trees screamed, the totem caught fire, but the flames burned cold, white hot like magnesium. The spiral beneath my feet started to spin. Literally, I felt it twist under me like a drain pulling me in, and the last thing I saw before blacking out was the red mask smiling. I woke up in a hospital bed 3 days later, disorientated, dehydrated, my lips cracked, my skin sunburned, my voice gone. Police found me on the side of Route 24, unconscious, covered in ash. They said I'd been missing for 72 hours. I asked about my gear, the camera, the footage, the notebook. Gone. No record of me ever entering the forest, no proof, no trace. Just one thing remained. When I finally got home, I noticed something carved into the plaster of my flat's hallway wall. A spiral. Exactly like the ones in the forest. But here's the part I can't explain. I don't have a hallway. If you're hearing this, it means I survived long enough to tell it. They tell you not to stray from the path. Signs are posted at the entrance in multiple languages, reminding visitors that life is precious, that help is available, that you're not alone. But I don't think those signs are really meant to save anyone. I think they're warnings for what's already inside. I was travelling alone. It was early spring, still cold enough that the air bit your lungs when you breathed too hard. I read about Aokigahara, Japan's suicide forest, years earlier, back when I was obsessed with urban legends and haunted places. But this trip wasn't for research, it was supposed to be about healing. My younger brother, Kito, took his own life last November. No note, no warning, just a text at 2:17 AM saying, "I'm sorry, I hear them now too." His phone pinged last in Aokigahara, and his body was never found. Tourists mostly stick to the map trails, but beyond them, it becomes different. Sound behaves strangely. Your compass starts spinning. Trees grow too densely to see the sun. Every direction looks the same. Locals say the forest wants you lost. They leave coloured tape tied to trees so they can find their way back. When I arrived, I bought a roll of red tape and tied it to the entry post. I told myself I wasn't looking for Kito's body. I was just trying to understand. About an hour in, I noticed the air had changed. It didn't feel like breathing oxygen anymore. It felt wet, like breathing through a soaked rag. And then I heard it. Soft, distant, carried by no wind. My name. Hajime. I froze. The sound wasn't directional. It felt like it came from inside my ears. Like a memory, except I've never heard it said in that voice before. It sounded like Quito. I ran towards it and snapped the tape. I ran for what felt like minutes, then I stopped, panting, and looked around. The forest was silent again. Too silent. No wind, no animals, not even the distant hum of foot traffic. I turned to retrace my steps and found the red tape again, tied to a tree directly in front of me, perfectly intact as if I'd never left. But that tree was wrong. The bark had long gashes down the side, 6 of them, deep, even, almost like claw marks, and just beneath the tape, someone had carved, "Stay." I started filming. It gave me something to focus on. My hands shook so badly, the camera footage is probably useless, but I couldn't stop. Then something moved behind me. I spun. Just trees. I kept walking, slow, careful, trying to remember every tree, every twist in the ground. That's when I saw it. A figure, standing about 20 feet away, same height as me, same build, same clothes, even the same camera. I lifted my arm slowly, waved. The figure did not wave back. Instead, it tilted its head in the exact same way Quito used to when he was pretending to listen but wasn't really. It took a step forward and whispered, "You left me here." I ran. Eventually, I stumbled into a clearing, an open, mossy field in the centre of the forest that wasn't on any map I'd seen. There were ropes tied to the trees, frayed, broken. Some of them still had nooses at the end, and in the centre was an old tent, rotted through, like it had been there for decades. Inside were bones and a phone, still on, still playing a voice recording. "Come home, Quito, please come home." It was my mother's voice. That's when the forest shifted. I don't know how else to explain it. The trees seemed to breathe, to move without moving. The shadows grew taller, longer, darker, and then, all around the clearing, dozens of figures appeared. Not walking, just there. Some hanging from trees, others kneeling, some crawling towards me with the faces I recognized. Old classmates, neighbours, people I'd known to have passed, and one face I didn't expect to see. My own. Only the eyes were gone, mouth wide open in a scream I couldn't hear. I blacked out. I woke up lying just outside the forest entrance. No red tape, no camera, no evidence. Just a photo in my coat pocket. It was me, standing in the clearing, surrounded by shadows, only the timestamp was wrong. It read April the 12th, 2026. 1 year from now. If you're hearing this, it means I survived long enough to tell it. But last night, I heard my name again. This time, it was coming from inside my flat. If you're hearing this, it means I survived long enough to tell it. We were just backpacking through Europe, 4 countries in 3 weeks, a beat-up van, and way too many cheap beers. It was meant to be a memory, something to look back on when the world slowed down. We were never meant to end up in that forest, but one of us had heard the legends. Hoia Baciu, a haunted forest in Romania, a place of vanishings, lights in the trees, disembodied voices, a place where people go in and don't come out the same. We didn't believe any of it, well, not until it was too late. We arrived just before sunset. There's this strange natural clearing in the forest, perfect circle, no trees. Science says it's soil composition, locals say it's a wound in the earth that won't heal. We thought it was cool, set up camp dead in the centre. 4 of us, Matai, the local Romanian mate we picked up in Bucharest, Jules, my best mate from uni, loud, sarcastic, bit of a skeptic. Cleo, the spiritual one, always journaling, and me, the one holding the camera. We ate, drank, played music from the van, laughed until the sun dipped behind the trees. Then things changed. It was around 11:40 p.m. when the silence dropped, and I mean dropped. No wind, no bugs, no fire crackle, just absence. The air grew thick, not foggy, just heavy, like trying to breathe underwater. Cleo stopped mid-sentence and stared into the trees. "Do you hear that?" she whispered. We all froze. There was no sound, but something in the back of my head started humming, like static, low and distant, just enough to set your teeth on edge. Matai pulled out his phone. "No signal," he said. "But the time?" He trailed off. The screen read 1:17 a.m. We'd only blinked. We argued about what to do. Cleo wanted to stay. Matai said we should pack up. Jules just wanted to smoke. But then Jules and Chloe started speaking at the same time. Not in response to each other, but in unison. Same words, same pitch, same pauses. "Don't go. It isn't done with us yet." And then they both stopped, blinked, and looked confused, like they'd just woken up from a nap. Matai and I just stared. I checked my watch again. 2:09 a.m. Around 2:30, lights started appearing in the trees. Not lanterns, not torches, not even orbs. They were more like tears in the dark. Glowing rips in reality, just hovering between the branches. They shifted, moved without moving, and when I pointed my camera at them, the screen went black. Then it flashed once, and I saw a figure. Tall, long limbs, face smooth like it had been melted clean. It stood just behind Jules. I dropped the camera, and when I looked up, Jules was gone. We called out, searched the clearing, shouted into the trees. No response. Then we heard him scream, not from the forest, from above. We all looked up, and the sky wasn't sky anymore. It was a swirling void of white and grey and faces, dozens of them, open mouths, no eyes. Matai collapsed. Chloe started laughing, but not like herself, not her voice, a deep, male voice I didn't recognise coming from her throat. The clearing's grass began to flatten, not by wind, by pressure. It swirled inwards towards the centre, pressing us closer, pulling everything down. I grabbed Matai, tried to pull him up. His eyes were rolled back, skin pale, lips moving, but I couldn't hear the words. The spiral got faster, and the last thing I remember was Chloe turning to me, her face split by a smile too wide, her head slowly turning in full 360 degrees. Then everything went white. I woke up in my bed back in London 3 weeks later. My passport was stamped at a Romanian checkpoint 3 days prior, but I have no memory of it. Matai's number is disconnected. Chloe's social media hasn't been updated. And Jules? No one can find him. And in my inbox, scheduled to send on the day I disappeared, was a video file titled "Watch this if you escape." It's footage from my camera. I'm standing in the clearing, whispering something, over and over. "You are the spiral, you are the spiral, you are the spiral." If you're hearing this, it means I survived long enough to tell it. But last night, I woke up in my garden and the grass was crushed in a perfect circle.